Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those moments where the entire narrative snaps in half. For days, Democrats pushed a story that they thought was bulletproof, a dramatic claim, a sympathetic setup. The media lined up, social platforms amplified it, and at the center of it all was Ilhan Omar telling the country that ICE targeted her family. They thought it was safe. They thought that no one would challenge it. They thought the system would stay quiet. But then something happened that sent real panic through the Democratic machine. ICE responded, and not with spin, not with ambiguity, not with "we're reviewing it." They dropped three words that absolutely detonated the entire story. Absolutely zero record. No stop, no detention, no encounter, nothing. And suddenly everything changes because this didn't happen in a vacuum. This happened while Democrats are already suffocating under Epstein questions that they just can't even answer, files that they don't want released, and a public that no longer trusts selective outrage. Well, under President Trump, agencies, they don't play the old games anymore. When ICE speaks now, it lands. And their statement directly contradicts a sitting member of Congress. This is not a misunderstanding. This is exposure. So what you're about to see, this is not a claim falling apart. This is a media strategy collapsing in real time. It's Democrats scrambling to contain damage. And this is the moment where silence becomes louder than any accusation. If you're able to hear me okay on this video, please drop a yes in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Folks, let's go ahead and slow down for a second. Let's be very precise here because this is where the entire domino chain starts, okay? Ilhan Omar publicly claimed that ICE targeted or stopped her son, framing this as an act of racial profiling, political intimidation, or even selective enforcement. Now, that framing matters because it wasn't presented as a question or a concern. It was presented as a fact. And there's a big difference there. And the moment she said it, Democrats and their media allies, they did what they always do. They amplified first, and then they verified later, if at all. Headlines flew, social media lit up. The narrative was locked in almost instantly. Federal enforcement bad, victim narrative good. You see what I'm saying here, guys? This was not accidental. This claim landed at a time when immigration enforcement is politically radioactive. And when Democrats want ICE framed as out of control under President Trump, this is what's happening. So the story mattered, not just emotionally, but strategically for Democrats. But here's the trap that they walked right into. When you frame something this serious as absolute truth, you leave no room to retreat. If it's wrong, it doesn't quietly fade. It detonates in your hands. And this is exactly what happened next. This is the moment where everything fractures. ICE didn't issue some vague statement. They didn't say that they were reviewing the matter. They didn't hide behind process language. They came right out. They came out clean, direct, and devastating. There is absolutely zero record of any ICE stop, detention, or encounter involving Ilhan Omar's son. Those three words, absolutely zero record, are lethal to a narrative like this one because they don't invite interpretation. There's no ambiguity. Either it happened or it didn't happen. And ICE is saying it didn't happen. Now, understand how rare this is, okay? A federal enforcement agency directly contradicting a sitting member of Congress publicly under the Trump administration. This is not casual. It signals confidence, it signals documentation, and it also signals that someone behind the scenes knew that the facts would hold. This is where panic begins, not publicly, but internally, because once that statement is out, damage control replaces messaging, silence replaces outrage, and allies suddenly stop repeating the claim they were so confident about just days earlier. The credibility collapse isn't loud, it's surgical. Now, this is where the story gets uncomfortable, not because of what's said, but because of what suddenly isn't said. So when the claim first dropped, legacy media moved at lightning speed. Push alerts, panels, sympathy framing, no hesitation, no sourcing questions. But the moment I said absolutely zero record, something strange happened. The volume dropped, the urgency vanished, and the follow-up never came. There were no corrections with the same energy as the accusation. There were no breaking news chyrons walking it back. There were no primetime segments asking how such a claim even made it to air unverified. This is not journalism. That's narrative containment. Now, this isn't about bias in tone. It's about asymmetry and accountability. Allegations, not amplification. Facts get buried. And when facts contradict the preferred storyline, the response isn't transparent. It's quiet. Silence in moments like this. It's not neutral. It's strategic because every hour that passes without correction allows confusion to settle in. And confusion is useful when credibility is at risk. That freeze is the telltale sign. This is how you know something went absolutely wrong behind the curtain. Now, what we're talking about isn't just politics. This is what happens when important details get buried, ignored, or even quietly changed while people assume that everything's fine. Now, a woman told me recently that she ignored the annual Medicare letter that said that her plan was changing. Well, she assumed it was routine. She assumed nothing important had changed. Well, it had. Her Medicare plan quietly dropped her specialist, the doctor she relied on, and she didn't find out until it was too late. This happens to people every single year, unfortunately, and this is why I partner with Chapter, folks. Chapter actually reads those Medicare notices for you. They look at what changed, what you might lose, and whether there's a better option before it costs you access to care. Now, their help is totally, completely free. There's no pressure, there's no sales pitch. Most people are dialing the phone number right at the bottom of your screen, 909-563-8279, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. There's a link down below to make sure that they are protected and not surprised. Because just like in politics, silence in healthcare can cost you a lot more than you think. Now, this is where defenders always say, you're overreacting, it's just one mistake, Ron, what are you talking about? It's not that big of a deal. But credibility isn't judged in isolation, it's judged in patterns. This isn't the first time a dramatic claim generated instant outrage, is it? Immediately followed by quiet clarification or contradiction later. It's not about intent, it's about incentives. So when the system rewards speed over accuracy, the same behavior repeats over and over. The pattern is predictable. A claim aligns with a political narrative, allies defend it reflexively, media assumes good faith, verification comes later, if at all, and so when the facts don't line up, no one wants to own the correction. The question isn't whether every claim is false. The question is why verification is always treated as optional when the accusation points in the right direction. This is why Democrats rush to defend first, because backing off looks worse than staying silent, and silence in their calculation is survivable. Now, under pressure, especially now, patterns become visible, and once audiences recognize the pattern, trust doesn't come back easily. So I want you to watch very closely to what happens next, because panic doesn't always look like chaos. Sometimes it looks like discipline. And at first, Democrats spoke with clarity. They repeated the same claim confidently. Then ICE issued its denial. And then all of a sudden, the language changed. Certainty became ambiguity. Facts became questions, and questions became accusations about process and tone or distraction. The shift matters. So instead of clarifying what happened, Democrats pivoted to why the story shouldn't matter. Instead of addressing the contradiction, they reframed the discussion as political harassment. That's not clarification. That is a retreat. Now, you're going to notice something else too. Surrogates, they stopped repeating the original claim. Did you notice that? Like, media allies stopped booking voices who could be challenged. The outrage cooled, not because it was resolved, but because it became dangerous to sustain. This is what message drift looks like. It's not loud denial. It's not omission. It's a gradual slide away from specifics. And when a party avoids specifics, it's not because the facts are unclear. It's because the facts are too clear and they don't help them anymore. Now, here's where timing turns into a real problem for Democrats. This ICE collapse didn't happen in isolation. It landed while Democrats were already under pressure over these unresolved questions surrounding the Epstein files, questions about transparency, selective releases, and who gets protected when the truth gets uncomfortable. Now, you don't need speculation here. The issue isn't what's in the files. It's the public's belief that powerful institutions decide what you're allowed to know. So when ICE flatly contradicts a sitting member of Congress while Epstein questions remain unanswered, the two stories fuse in the public's mind. Different subjects, same concern. So who's telling the truth? Who's being protected? Who's straight up lying to your face? And why does verification always arrive late? That's the danger. Now, one story weakens credibility, the other one erodes trust, but together they create this massive suspicion, not toward politicians, but toward the systems defending them. And once suspicion sets in, it spreads faster than outrage ever could. Now, here's why Democrats are genuinely nervous right now. They're not annoyed, they're not frustrated, but nervous. On their own, these stories were survivable. A disputed claim here, delayed document release there. Washington is full of these. But when the ICE denial and the Epstein transparency problem collide, something different happens. One story hits immigration credibility, the other hits institutional trust. And together they tell the public a single dangerous story, that narratives are curated before facts are confirmed. That's the real exposure. Not scandal, not outrage, but suspicion. People start asking the wrong questions. Wrong for Democrats, that is, of course. Who verifies these claims? Why does correction lag so far behind accusation? Why does the truth always arrive quietly after the damage is already done? When multiple, unrelated unrelated controversies point to the same behavior pattern, the belief of the doubt disappears. And so once that happens, every new claim is viewed through a filter of doubt. This is why this collision matters. It doesn't create anger, it creates disbelief. And disbelief is way harder to control. And so this is where the political environment changes everything. Donald J. Trump is in office. That matters a lot. So under previous administrations, agencies often spoke cautiously, slowly, or not at all. Silence was a shield, delay was a strategy, but under Trump's enforcement first posture, ICE statements carry weight. When they speak, they do so with confidence and documentation. That removes a key democratic survival tactic, waiting out the news cycle. You can't memory hole a federal agency saying absolutely zero record. You can't spin that as opinion. You can't even claim confusion when enforcement agencies are willing to stand publicly behind their records. So this is why Democrats look off balance here. The old administration doesn't play quiet. When enforcement agencies contradict lawmakers in public, it flips the power dynamic. Suddenly, accusations carry risk again. And when accusations carry risk, panic follows. Now, here's the problem for Democrats and their media allies. This one doesn't rewind. In past cycles, inconvenient stories were smothered by volume, new outrage replaced by old outrage. But this time, the damage came from 3 words that don't fade with time. Absolutely zero record. That phrase is permanent, it's searchable, it's quotable, and it doesn't require context or interpretation. Anyone can understand it in 5 seconds. And this is what makes it so dangerous. You can't memory hole a direct contradiction from ICE, you can't reframe it as opinion, and you can't bury it under complexity. So the simplicity is the exposure. Every time the original claim surfaces, so does the denial. Every time someone repeats the accusation, the response follows. That's how credibility erosion works. Slowly, relentlessly, and without noise. And this isn't a viral outrage cycle. It's a trust fracture. And trust fractures don't heal just because the media moves on. They compound. So let's answer the obvious question. Why did Democrats think this was safe? Because the system trained them to. They assumed sympathetic media would amplify and then protect them. They assumed federal agencies were going to stay quiet. They assumed outrage would outrun verification. And historically, that strategy worked. But they misread the moment. They underestimated enforcement transparency under Donald J. Trump. They underestimated how much patience the public has lost, and they overestimated how much credibility was left to spend. This wasn't arrogance, it was habit. A habit formed in an environment where accusations carried no downside, where narratives mattered more than records, where silence covered mistakes. That environment no longer exists. And so when old habits collide with new realities, the result isn't scandal, it's exposure. Quiet, uncomfortable, irreversible exposure. This is why this backfired. Not because the claim was dramatic, but because the safety net underneath it is gone. Now, let's just zoom out for a moment, okay? Because this was never just about Ilhan Omar. What's really collapsing here is trust. Trust in narratives, trust in institutions, trust in the idea that accusations are handled with care instead of speed. So when a claim is amplified instantly and corrected quietly, the audience learns a lesson. The system prioritized story over truth. That's the exposure. Not outrage, not scandal, exposure. Every time this happens, the next claim is harder to sell. The next demand for outrage lands softer. The next trust us sounds thinner. This is why the panic you're seeing doesn't look like chaos. It looks more like silence and message discipline and strategic withdrawal. Under President Donald J. Trump, enforcement agencies are willing to speak plainly. So when records contradict rhetoric, the contradiction stands. And once that happens publicly, credibility does not bounce back. It leaks out slowly and permanently. This is the real cost here, because when trust is gone, narratives don't mobilize, they stall. And that's where we are, guys. This wasn't a meltdown because of noise. It was a meltdown because of documentation. 4 words ended a story that Ilhan Omar was supposed to run for weeks. And once the record spoke, everyone else went quiet. Democrats didn't lose control because people got angry. They lost control because people stopped believing in what they're saying. Remember this moment, okay? Not for the personalities, but for the pattern. Because every time a claim collapses under its own weight, the next one gets harder to push. Like this video, subscribe if you're new. Share this with someone who still thinks narratives don't matter. And as always, I'll see you next time.